Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. All right, so first up, for T&D today, I have my Unicorn and Narwhal Stone Creek coffee mug. Again, it feels like a magic kind of day. I don't really know why. I'm feeling pretty good today, all things considered. Yeah, that's gonna be where that sentence ends. And inside of that, I have my unplugged tea from, oh God, where did I get this from? I don't remember what it's called. The brand, it ran away from my brain. Whoops. It's very good though. I'm shooting this at the end of Sunday instead of, Monday. So maybe that's why I'm feeling pretty good. Work went pretty well today, and we're just sort of in it. We're in it. We're doing stuff. Not really the point. Anyway, getting on to what we are actually talking about today. Today we are going over 5 things that I wish that I knew when I started running 5th edition games. So these are some DM tips, I guess. Not necessarily tips, kind of tips, slash player tips if you are a player and you are interested in running a game and you're not really sure, or something like, that. So we are going to run through these. These are not really in any particular order. They go from like specific to pretty general. So hang with me on these, and we'll get there as we get there. Thanks for tuning in. So first up, the first thing that I wish that I had known when I started running 5th edition games, and honestly it took me several tries to get this one figured out, is that you cannot rely on the dice. Let that sink in for a second. You cannot rely on the dice. The dice are an integral storytelling element, obviously. The game is built around them. You have to have them in order for your story to be functional, and not just a book or just a narrative that you and your friends sit around and spin up together. You have to have the dice, but you cannot rely on the dice. Things should be able to progress without there being a piece of key information behind a dice roll wall. Because it is going to feel incredibly cheap if you're just having your players sit there and roll over and over and over again until they get above a certain number. And if they all strike out, they need to be able to move forward as opposed to just getting stuck with it. Now, some of that onus does go onto the players in that if everybody does strike out on, say, a dice roll to figure out the solution to a trap or understand the mechanism of a trap, they can't just sit there and freeze then. Somebody has to be, that idiot that decides to walk in front of it and see what happens so that you can get some new information and then promptly try again to figure out what to do better. But you can't have, like, this intricate riddle. The only way they're going to figure it out is if they roll well. And that's it. That's all it is. That is just kind of where you get stuck. And that's not what you want. You want people to, be able to continue to play the game, even if they run into a portion of it that is deeply frustrating to them because they cannot figure it out. There needs to be a way, essentially what I'm saying is there needs to be a way to brute force your way through a problem. It doesn't always have to be brute force necessarily, but there needs to be a way for them to solve it without necessarily using their head so much as using some random ability. Like if there is a locked door and they cannot pick the lock or anything like that, they should be able to break the door down if they have to be able to get onto the other side of it, or somebody needs to be able to teleport onto the other side of it, or something like that. You can't present them with this insurmountable wall that is reliant on a dice roll, because you will not get that dice roll when you need it, and that is a promise. I had several puzzles where I screwed that up, and then we were sitting there for about 10 minutes after everybody had already failed. I was like, I don't know what other clues to give you guys, because everybody in this party of like 5 people rolled below a 7 on the Arcana check that I gave you, so I don't know what to do with you. Don't lock things behind dice rolls unless they are either extra information. There we go. Or it is something that could help them solve the problem quicker. They should be able to solve the problem without having any rolls at all, but if there's information that they could attain to then solve the problem faster, that is where you are able to put that information behind a dice roll. So, number one, please don't rely on the dice. They won't help you, I promise. Number two, don't take yourself, parentheses, or the rules, end parentheses, so seriously. It's a game. At the end of the day, it is a game, and there is so much going into it. And while, yes, you might want to get up there and tell this amazing epic story, you're gonna be able to do that. You just are. If you've put in the work, it's going to work itself out to be that way. You don't need to go letter of the law in terms of like following the rule books. You don't have to, make everything this like deep, intense thing. There are lighthearted moments in life, in adventures, in stories all the time. If you are a beginner getting ready to run a game, and you are not sure what I mean by this, and you have only seen Critical Role or only seen portions of Dimension 20 or something like that, I implore you to go ahead and listen to a couple episodes of NADPOD or a couple episodes of the beginning of the Adventure Zone Balance arc or something like that. These are just chaos. They're incredible. They're so fun, and they are just chaos. And it is actually a really, really useful tool to be able to sit back and look at it and go, huh, this D&D game is working. It is doing well, and I am enjoying it. And everybody in this studio here that they're recording in is enjoying themselves. So clearly something's going right there. And the amount of things that they take seriously, vastly outweighed by the number of things that they take the opposite of seriously. So they take so many things completely lighthearted, and it's honestly really refreshing to be able to listen to if you're used to heavy storytelling or anything like that. So don't take yourself or the rules too seriously. Rule of cool is something that people talk about for a reason. Bend the rules a little bit. It's fun that way. So that is number 2. Don't take yourself or the rules too seriously. Number 3. This is mostly for the homebrewers. Formulate your world or plot with the characters in mind. I say or plot because most plots should be character driven anyway, but if you already have a world that you're going to be playing around in and you're not building a new one from scratch, then just focus on the plot instead, and add things to the world to help make that work. The first homebrew campaign I ever started to run, which was also the first campaign I ever started to run, I did an insane amount of world building. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, oh my god, how could I ever have thought that this was a great idea? After having, several years of experience past that. And I did so much world building, and none of it was relevant to my players. Not a single thing at all was relevant to the players, because I had started building before I got anything from the players, and then I had become married to those ideas, and then I was like, okay, well, you guys are in this world now. And that kind of becomes, it sort of plays itself into the same thing as running a module will sometimes run you into. I say sometimes because modules are well written, they are well done, they are phenomenal resources, they are actually a fantastic way to just get your feet wet DMing, to give a DM who is burned out homebrewing a break, or to, if you don't have a ton of time to prep all the time, still be able to play D&D. They are amazing. I fully endorse modules. I personally don't like them all that much, but that's just a me thing. I love reading them, but I don't necessarily like the adventure aspect inside of them because they are not then tailored to the players. And that is a really important part of the whole D&D experience, in my opinion. The world is preset. The plot is preset. So your players just are sort of like sprinkled on top. When I run games and do things like that, I try and insert my players into it as much as I can. In this most recent home game that I'm running, it started off, I'm sure, seeming kind of like I hadn't incorporated a lot of stuff they had given me leading into it, but I think over the course of the almost 3 years we've been playing it now, they have seen these things that they had planted starting to grow and grow and grow past what they had initially had them in their backstories. And I hope they've seen that, because I have made an effort to do that. So when you are building your world or your plot, ask for your characters, or ask for the players. Have an idea of like the vibe you want from whatever story you're going to be telling. Get like a general sort of idea about what's going on, but build off of what your players will give you too. Some of the best ways to tell the story is to have that player addition in there, because then they are, you know, part of the story inherently, and they are instantly more invested in it. So number 3, formulate your world or plot with characters in mind. Moving on to number 4, this one's a big one that I didn't really get until I had been through it a lot. Number 4, making mistakes is part of the job. Let me repeat that for you. Making mistakes is part of the job. Let that sink in. I know I've said that for another one here, but making mistakes is part of the job. And that's just what it is. The dice roll badly. You're caught up in the moment. You forget something. You make a bad ruling. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it does not matter. This is a game. You're telling a story. A single bad ruling is not going to make or break anything. If you recognize that you screwed something up, just say, hey guys, I messed this up. We're going to change that going forward. Or, hey guys, I messed this up. If we can retcon it, great, let's do it. There are very, very few things that you need to, you know, really, really make sure you get right. And all of those things involve, like, the fate of your player characters. Everything else, you can screw up 9 ways to Thursday, okay? And it won't matter. It really won't. And honestly, even sometimes if you are screwing up with the player characters, it doesn't matter as much, because there is almost always a way to go back on it and to correct it the right way. So making mistakes is part of the job. That kind of ties into not taking the rules too seriously. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to get things wrong. I have so many of the rules just jammed into my brain that sometimes they get jumbled up and I forget things, or I mix things up, and then I rule something one way and then I'll go, oh, I did that wrong. Okay, guys, next time we're doing it the right way. And then we move on. And it keeps the game moving. You don't sit there for like 15 minutes tormenting yourself about, oh God, I made this ruling wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as everybody's at the table and having fun, who cares? Who cares? I can promise you your players really don't. And that's just the way it is. Sorry to break it to you. So number 4, making mistakes is part of the job. Get that through your thick skull. And finally, we come to number 5. This one, I think, is one of the biggest ones, and it's tough because sometimes when I look back on wishing that somebody had told me this one, I kind of discount it because I was already at this point, but I still wish that somebody had actually told me. Number 5 is you can run a game. When I look back at when I had started running these games, I realized that, like, I was in a place where I was thinking, yeah, I can do that. I can make that happen. I can do that. But all the way up to that point, I was like, oh God, what if I botch this whole thing? What if I waste everybody's time? What if I waste all of my time? What if I waste all of my friends' time? What if? You can do it. Honestly. There is an episode of Adventuring Academy. Highly recommend if you haven't listened to any of Adventuring Academy. It's the Dimension 20 / Dropout podcast advice thing. I think Brennan does it with Murph is the episode. It's like episode 3 or something. It's super early on. But they say something in there that has stuck with me for a long, like ever since I heard it. It has been just burned into my brain. If you consume any amount of D&D content, like outside of just playing it or just memes, and honestly even just memes sometimes, you have every ability to run the game. If you have watched fantasy high, you know everything you need to know to run a game. If you've listened to a season of The Adventure Zone, you know everything you need to know to run a game. If you've watched or listened to 15 episodes of Critical Role, you know everything you need to know in order to run a game. You probably honestly might even know more than the people that have only learned the game via the books. Honestly, genuinely, that is a real possibility there. And I think that that is a really important thing that people just don't realize. People are like, oh man, I could never be as good as Matt, or I couldn't be as good as Brennan, or I couldn't be as good as Abria, or something like that. But you've seen them do it. Like, yeah, they all have years and years of experience doing it, but you've seen them do it. You've seen how they rule things. You can do it. Why couldn't you do it? Explain to me right now why you wouldn't be able to do it. And the reality is, you can. You can run a game. That's the reality. And that one is geared towards like fresh DMs, people who are doubting themselves as they've started a campaign, or players who are thinking about maybe ever wanting to step on the other side of the screen, which I highly recommend, by the way. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. And you definitely should. You so should. Because if you've consumed that content, if you've played in a D&D campaign, you know enough to be able to do it. That's the end of the sentence. You can run a game. You run a one-shot, see how it feels. If you don't like it, learn a little bit more, and then go back and do it again until you feel good doing it. Because the point is, it's a game. It's a fun game. You play it with your friends. People make mistakes. They do silly voices. They, sit around and eat snacks. That's what it is. It's a 4-hour game night. So that's my number 5. And that honestly might be the most important one. I said they weren't really in any particular order, but that one I think is kind of top of the list. You can run a game. You have every ability to do it. You just need to actually do it. Period. That is my list of 5 things that I wish that people had told me when I had started DMing. I hope that helps somebody out there. I hope that you pass it on to somebody else. Moving on from talking about that, let's get into what streams we have today. I say streams, I mean shows, because several of these are podcast or YouTube or whatever, not just streams. So let's get into it. First up, we have Flavor City. That's my show. That's the one that's posting on my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's on this channel at 7 p.m. If you're listening to this, it's on my YouTube channel. Same name, same place. We are actually coming up on the end of it. I think we only have a couple more episodes after this one. So definitely check it out. Anyway, Flavor City, first up. The Paper Dungeon. Chromatic Dice, Beyond the Realms, Unprepared Casters, Greetings Adventurers, Bards of New York, Hapless Heroes, Oyen Adventures, Cast Party, 3 Black Halflings, Hello from the Magic Tavern, King Leo D&D, Anti-Heroes Anonymous, and The Tabletop Tavern. I'll quick plug The Tabletop Tavern again here, because they started last week on Monday, so if you haven't seen their first episode yet, you can check it out. You can catch it. It's only like 2 hours long. And Jenny, the person who runs it, is a good friend of mine and is playing my sister in the campaign that is supposed to be coming out relatively soon over on Sidetracked. So definitely go check them out. Give them some support. Give them some love. Let them know I sent you. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows, man. But those are all of the shows that we have dropping today. So, all that said, that is everything I have to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making me part of your morning routine. There we go. I really do appreciate it. In particular, to my patrons, thank you. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested or able to become a patron, please check out the link in the description of this episode. I really do appreciate everything you guys do for me. But as I said, that is everything I have to talk to you guys about. So don't forget, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.